Why should anyone bother learning about artificial intelligence? What is the simple trick that lies at the heart of the majority of AI applications in the real world? How is this trick used to make trillions of dollars? How can you change your worldview to use this trick in your business and in your career? That's what we'll be talking about in this video, Jay's Intro to AI. Artificial intelligence is one of these technologies that are changing the way we live. It's not extremely unique in that regard. It's only the latest in a series of human technologies that have preceded it. Technologies like writing, agriculture, the printing press, electricity, the internet, and smartphones. These technologies are interesting not only in the mechanics of how they work, but also in how they impact us as individuals, communities, and a civilization. AI specifically, riding on top of all of these preceding technologies, enables a level of automation that will change our careers, our companies, and our economies. Consider this. This is a list showing the top 20 public companies in the US in 1995. Every bar here is a company. So the first bar on the left is the largest company, and then that's the second company next to it, and then you see all 20 companies. In 1995, only 2 of these 20 companies were technology companies. The slide calls them Wintel. That's Microsoft, the creators of Windows, and Intel. Fast forward to 2016. Now, the top 5 companies are all technology companies. These are the companies referred to as GAFA: Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. Microsoft is there, and Intel is still on the list. This tells you that technology companies have risen to the top of the public market. Not only that, but the other non-technology companies on this list were only able to remain competitive because they invested in technology as well and digital transformation. In a way, some people are saying that every company has to become a technology company now. This trend rides on top of software, the internet, smartphones, and AI. The progress of technology has had a tremendous effect on the evolution of jobs. It used to be that when you rode an elevator, somebody was there to drive it. This was their job. It used to be that there were floors full of clerks whose jobs are now better done by an Excel spreadsheet. When you were to call somebody on the phone, you had to call an operator and they would connect you to that person. That has not existed for decades now. But that's not to say that that's always negative. There's a lot of jobs and tasks within jobs that were never meant to be done by humans to begin with. So that's one motivation of why we should learn about artificial intelligence. It affects us and the people around us in our communities. So let's get into it. What is AI? So what is AI? When people think about artificial intelligence, they think of computers thinking like humans. That is not a thing that we have right now. And we have no idea if it's going to happen in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 or 10 years, or even longer. At this time, this is basically science fiction. What we do have, however, can be better referred to as weak AI or narrow AI, software programs that are able to solve narrow tasks that sometimes can be called intelligent, kind of like machine translation. I think that's very intelligent. The subset of AI that I'd like to talk about is better referred to as machine learning. That's the more appropriate term to use, and that's what I'll be using from now on. Machine learning is a field with many methods and applications. You can spend a lifetime looking at the various applications inside of machine learning. These dots are all examples of machine learning applications. Let us focus on the intersection of machine learning applications and commercial applications, because it's likely that at this intersection is where we'll see the applications that change jobs and economies. This intersection is what's going to allow us to understand the economic implications of machine learning. I will save you a lot of time by telling you about the one application that lies at the heart of the majority of applications of machine learning in the real world. There are plenty of machine learning applications used in business, but one can clearly be called the most commonly used one. That application is called prediction. I define prediction here as predicting, estimating, or calculating values based on patterns that we have seen in other pre-existing data. We speak of this in terms of a prediction model. That's a piece of software that takes an input, say a number, and outputs another number. Just makes a calculation and outputs another number that has some value to us. The best way to illustrate this is with an example. Let's say that 3 people walk into an ice cream shop, and we want to predict how much they would end up paying. No business book or MBA program has an answer for this question, because the answer is simply depends. It depends on the people, on the store, on the location, on the temperature, on a lot of things. But to make a crude prediction or estimate, we might be able to answer this question using data. So let's look at the previous 3 transactions that happened in this very ice cream shop. Here we have the 3 transactions. In the first example, we have a group of 1 person who ended up paying $10. In the second example, we have a group of 2 people who ended up paying $20 for ice cream. And in the third example, we have a group of 4 people who paid $40. Now, we have never looked at a group of 3 people walk into this ice cream shop. But still, is there anything we can glean, anything we can learn from these 3 examples in the beginning that can tell us or indicate to us how much these 3 people would pay? Now, I go all around the world and give this example to people, and audiences that I've talked with always are able to answer. If you have guessed 30, then let me congratulate you and welcome you to the world of AI and machine learning. This is the simple trick at the heart of the majority of applications of AI in business. You have grasped the central idea that a lot of these applications really boil down to, whether they be Google Translate or Siri or even self-driving cars. Now, what did we do here? You found a pattern. You found a number that explains the relationship between these 2 columns. That's a secret number, 10. And you said, okay, multiplying each number here by 10 gives us the value on the right. And so I will use that to predict the price paid for this group that I've never seen before. But if the pattern holds, this is a good estimate for what they might end up paying. It's a prediction. It doesn't have to be 100% correct. It doesn't have to be 70% correct. But it's the best guess given the data that we've seen. This idea is called regression, and around it is a field of machine learning called supervised learning. And it just takes it 1 step further, and 2 steps, and 3 steps, and that's how you end up with these amazing applications, kind of like, Google Translate and the others. Let's put some names on some of these things. So the green column is a list of our features. They're the inputs to the prediction model. The pink column is what we call the label. These are the values associated with the value that we want to predict. This is our data set. We call it a labeled data set because it has labels. And this secret number we call the weight. It's also called the parameter in some places. We can also think of our model as looking like this. It's a box, a piece of software. It takes an input and does its calculation and generates an output on the other side. So the input here is 3. It multiplies 3 by 10, and then the output is 30. We can also input maybe 5. It will multiply 5 by 10. It will say, okay, I predict that this group of 5 people will pay $50. And that's a prediction model. And now that you know what a prediction model can look like, let's look at some examples of prediction models in business. When you look at the business model of Google and Facebook, you realize that they're really advertising companies. The heart of their operation are prediction models that do click prediction. These are models that calculate the probability of a user clicking on an ad, and they're used to show people the most relevant ads, the ads with the highest probability of users clicking on them. Banks, fintech companies, payment networks all use fraud detection to save their customers from fraudulent transactions. So the inputs here, or features, would be things like information about the merchant, the price, your history of purchases, the locations of where you've purchased things in this most recent transaction, and so on and so forth. The last great example of prediction models is product recommenders. These can be thought of as prediction models that tell you how relevant a product is to a person. That product can also be a video if you're talking about Netflix or YouTube. It can also be, a song or a piece of music if you're thinking about, Spotify or music streaming. Now, these are not the only examples. I'm hoping in this channel we'll be talking about a lot more examples and we'll go a little bit deeper into a lot of them. But between these examples, I can easily say that $1 trillion was generated by these 3 classes of prediction models. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your feedback on this video. Please check out my blog and Twitter and subscribe to this channel. More to come.